Alright, so I wanted to go over how I do my bloodline and typically what I look for in pets that I want to use to attack beasts for me. Um, what I look for. So I guess I'll get into that today. So for bloodline, let's start with that. I'm typically trying to pay attention to the attack, HP, and defense quality of the pets because that will obviously determine what I'm getting the most out of my pet, whether it's more defense, more attack, or more HP. Pretty self-explanatory on that one, I guess. But the other thing I'm looking for is under the skill tab, you'll see that the pets have default skills, or if it's an evolved pet, you'll see that it's the talent. And so when you click on that, you'll see the attribute conversion rate, but then you'll see some additional stats typically. So like some HP, some range damage, increase, resilience, and defense. And I'm looking for pets that have this additional HP, resilience, and defense because it's not available on all pets. Like if we take a look at the fox, see it doesn't have those additional stats. It just has crit damage 4.8%. That's still good, but those additional stats are also taken into account when you're dealing with bloodline. They're very small amounts, so it's not like a requirement that you have to have these for your bloodline to be good. It's just an additional thing if you're trying to min-max the returns that you get out of your bloodline. Another thing to look at is evolved pets like the Delulu here have a attribute conversion rate of 5% instead of 4%. Meaning that they'll just get 1% more gains towards the bloodline than the normal pets. Now you can increase this amount to 5% on the normal pets, it's just a bit expensive. So if you look at the bloodline enhancement here, you'll see that by feeding non-evolved pets core, you'll increase that conversion rate by 0.2% each time. So you need 5 core in order for it to become 5%, which is the cap. Not required, but if you are looking for some additional stats, then you can invest some time or money into getting that, which is from limitless blood eggs, which are pretty hard to obtain, but it's just some additional things to look at when taking into account that. Now, I don't have a full list of the pets that have these additional stats, but I do have a few that we can look at. So Serpent gives crit damage and the additional stats. Raptor gives melee damage reduction and the additional stats. We already took a look at the quotes, but let's look at it again. It has range damage increase with the additional stats, and so you're just kind of looking for what are going to give you the benefits that you want towards your character, depending on how you play the game. Whether you want to be tankier, whether you want to deal more damage with a specific type, and it's just some extra stuff. The other thing is that all of these skills that you actually add to your pets, it's all part of that as well. So, for instance, my raptor here, all of his attacks do melee damage, every last one of them. He doesn't have any ranged attacks whatsoever, but he was a part of my bloodline at one point in time, and so I would still put range damage increase on him. So even though he is not benefiting from this in any way, shape, or form, my character, if this guy is in his bloodline, will still be getting 5% of, or 4% in this case, of that bonus, because it's going to be 4 or 5%, depending on its pet, of everything in here in the attributes tab. So all the refining attributes that you do by feeding them eggs, anything that you do to the pet, it's going to be the conversion of that. So if we look at it, let's look at the raptor just to prove something. So we got the attack, defense, all that stuff, but then we look down here and see he's getting range damage bonus. So again, despite him not having anything to do with range whatsoever, because I put that skill in there, he's still giving me a range damage bonus if I were to shove him in my bloodline. And the other thing is that when you're looking at that, these stats that they have that are additional are added to the pet right off the bat. So we look at the dragon horse here. He's got some okay attack, HP, and defense quality. I haven't been working on him that much, but his HP is at 16,000, HP quality 21. But if we go and look at my Spinosaur here, who's roughly the same, he's got 23 HP quality. His HP is actually lower than the dragon horse, and that's because he does not have those additional stats. So it's just something to keep in mind, not a requirement, just something to look at when you're hatching pets and as you go through the game, to just kind of make some more decisions based off of that. Now, as far as how I choose my pets that are going to attack, well, in most cases, when you're fighting the beast, you'll typically get the same moves that the beast has when you capture them that you dealt with while fighting it. Now, this isn't true of all beasts. For instance, the Brontosaur, I don't know if he is still glitched, but when you would encounter a Brontosaur in the wild by, knocking on eggs or however you find them, he does not attack, or at least at the time when I caught him, he did not attack me at all. But when I hatched him, he has all of these abilities. So, just something to look at when you are capturing your beasts. Now, same thing goes for the Stodal, where the Stodal has like all of these large attacks and everything. It like stomps on the ground and it creates all these circles everywhere that erupt and do damage, and he can do like a little shell spin attack. When you hatch him, he doesn't have any of that. I don't know if they will change this in the future, but all he has is a flamethrower attack. It's still a good attack. It's just he does not have everything else available. Same thing with the Bone Dragon. He doesn't have the spin attack that damages everyone at once. He actually spits out fire tornadoes and a explosive fireball. So it's a little bit weird. However, the Chimera, every last one of the attacks that you fight against the Chimera, he has in his attacks. So he'll do the lightning spawning on you, he'll do the poison spitting, and all sorts of other stuff. However, he does not move at all when doing attacks. He will stand in place while doing all those attacks. So he can take a lot of damage depending on where you place him in the fight, because he's going to essentially be a immobile turret. Whereas someone like the Serpent, he'll typically stay in the same place, but because of his attack pattern, he'll either fly up into the air or descend, and that can actually help him to avoid some damage. Now, the AI is not designed currently, or I don't even know if they'll do it in the future, but it's not designed to actually move out of the way of attacks. So most of the pets are just going to be standing there taking damage while they're attacking the beasts, and it's a good idea to pay attention to them based off of the fight you're doing. I know I've had a few fights with some newts where they spew a beam at you, and my pet would just so happen to be right behind me, so I move out of the way of the attack, but then my pet sits there and just gets the full force of the damage and dies because of it. So what I like to do in those situations, if I know that there's going to be an attack coming my way that's going to deal a lot of damage like that, and my pet's behind me, I will actually de-summon my pet right away and summon him right back after the attack's over to make sure that he avoids that damage, because they are not smart enough to move out of the way. And so it's a good way to avoid losing some lifespan. So it's just, this is more of like a 2 cents thing, just to maybe help some people out, some stuff to look at when you're going through, and I hope this helps some of you make your decisions while going through the game. Again, have a good one. Thanks for watching.